Hey people, what's going on? I'm the Broken Puppet, and today I'm teaching you how to draw the star sign Taurus in an old school style. So it's going to be a really fun one. It's going to be like sort of nice symmetric, big bull's face coming off, big horns, big Taurus logo in the center. You know, just a really kind of cool, classic sort of way of doing it. This is going to be done on the iPad Pro in Procreate. You can do it on paper with pens, markers, whatever you guys want to use. Just copy what I've done here, just on there. Just switch on the mediums really. I'm going to click up here, click on Drawing Guide, so this is highlighted. Click Edit Drawing Guide, click on the Symmetry tool down here, and it just makes it easier because it means it's going to draw on both sides at the same time, as long as Drawing Assist is turned on. Sorry, that will automatically turn on, I just had it already selected. So draw both sides at the exact same time, just makes it easier because it's going to be a symmetric design. So I'm going to start off with big circle, just for the top part of the head. Big circle here, which is going to be the nose kind of area. I'm going to bring in a curved line across just here, kind of divide this up. Bring in this triangle in the middle. I'm going to bring in this kind of box shape just up here. Now roughly about halfway through this circle, just on the sides, 2 circles out here. You want to be quite far apart, you know, the bull's eyes are quite far apart, you don't want to be too close. So make sure it comes out, you know, sort of a bit further than the edges of the mouth. So if it's further in front of the mouth, it won't look right. Above these, we're going to do these curved sausage shapes, just above the eye like that. Little curved line just in here, and then I'm going to create another loop just underneath those circles. A bit of a loop just here, and kind of join it up to the mouth bit. So basically just building up the rough sort of shape of the face. Now the ears are going to kind of sit roughly where these shapes up here kind of curve off, so we're going to curve these outwards, like so. Curve up a loop, curve down and back. So that's going to create your ears. And then I'm going to bump this out a touch just here, and I'm going to go into the horns. So the horns are going to curve outwards, upwards, and then just kind of rotate just as you get towards the top of them. Just like so. So that's the general rough sort of shape of the bull's face. Just going to lower this down a touch. Like that. So that's the general gist of the bull's face, you know, the actual sort of rough kind of short shape of it. So I'm going to create another layer just on top. I'm going to turn that transparency just down a touch. If done on paper, just kind of rub it out just gently, just so it's kind of faint. You basically want this as a guideline. Now the layer above it, same thing, just draw an assist. So I'm going to draw both sides at the same time. And I'm just going to start detailing it now. You know, I'm going to use this as a guide and just detail over this now. So I'm going to come down here where we've got this nose. I'm going to create this sort of shape. So I'm going to curve these nostrils in. I'm not going to make them like a perfect sort of shape. I'm going to kind of go a bit kind of wonky around there and come out down like so. I'm going to create this curved line coming up, and then this is going to curve around those shapes, just like that. And I'm going to have a ring coming in the bull's nose, so I'm going to create this circular shape curving into that nose. 2 lines about the same distance apart, so you create that cool kind of ring. Underneath the mouth here, I'm going to create this line coming down. So it's going to curve out. I'm going to create a little dip here, just kind of make shape a bit more interesting. And I can kind of curve there. Underneath the chin, I'm going to create this down here, create little dips to the bottom, just create a hint of a chin. Just there. You know, and that's a really kind of cool shape, that kind of get the base to the nose. Just come up a bit higher, I'm going to create this little loop just here above the nose. I'm going to create these other 2 loops here, just kind of create a bit of a pattern so it's a bit more than just like an average ball. It's going to be some cool kind of gold kind of plated across that bit. I'm going to start bridging up this sort of, you know, back of the nose coming up, so I'm going to create this curve shape coming outwards, create a little dip just here, and kind of curve up from that. I might create a little secondary detail line just there. And then just curving up from here, I'm going to create this curve line coming up, and this is going to go up to where these curves are here. It's going to kind of sit underneath that. Coming off the side here now, or I'll put this out. I want to kind of make this bit sort of circular, because I want these face to feel very muscular, you know, very strong. So I'm going to create a lot of these kind of curves to kind of get this sort of, you know, hint of like muscle sort of shape to it. So I'm going to curve outwards, just like that. And again, I'm going to get dip here and create this nice kind of curve outwards. Now, rather than being straight lines, I'm going to create a lot of these kind of curves, and it kind of gives this really kind of strong kind of vibe to it. You know, the shapes are really important for getting that kind of sort of, you know, feel to it. I'm going to come up here and then do some circles for the eyes. some little circles inside it. I'm going to create this loop that's going to cut into that circle, making it kind of angry-eyed. It's going to curve up and kind of flick outwards. I'm going to have around the eye, I'm going to create this little loop just here on the outside, and I'm going to mimic this sort of shape around it. So I'm going to go right all around the eye, keep them at the same distance apart to create this kind of outside pattern. And once you get to this side, it's going to create another curve. It's going to curve up towards the ear just there. So that's going to do it for the eyes. And then underneath the eyes, I'm going to create this kind of sort of like curve here. It's going to create a bit like a bag under the eyes, just a bit more kind of detail. And curve inwards. And this line can kind of sort of bump into that one. Just like so. Got a little space here, so I'm going to create this curve just here, I think. And I'm going to create a little curve just coming off just there. Now you want plenty of lines in the face, but just don't go too overboard. So I think that will sort of do it. Don't go too kind of more crazy than that really. It might just start taking away from it. So I'm going to come in now. We've done these big massive sausage shapes. We're going to curve this around. I'm going to create a bump into it. And create another curve just coming off. I want this to kind of curve around this sort of shape as it was kind of sort of dipping past it. I'll do another little detail line just inside there. Inside this middle I'm going to have the Taurus symbol. So I'm just going to sketch it in roughly, just have a circle, and then we're going to have those kind of bull horns coming off of it, like so. I come to the side here, I'm going to curve this up, it's going to go into the ear, so the ear is going to kind of cut into this sort of shape. Where we're going to get this little gap, I'm going to create this ear curve. So it's going to curve outwards, it's going to tip down, I'm going to create a little bump, just for detail purposes, and curve that back there. A few little flick lines I think, just underneath, and I'm going to create another curve just to sort of show it inside the ear, like that. So you see, you kind of got that nice kind of sort of look to it coming on now. So you can see how the ear looks. I'm going to create this, and I'm going to loop this in a bit, so I want to get a bit of a dip, just kind of get a sense that this horn is kind of inside this part of the head. I'm going to loop this around, create a little loop just there, and a bump just up here, curving down, just to sort of show the top part of his head. So I like this, just get like a really nice kind of sort of like feel to it now. So I'm going to come up to the horn. So I'm going to reinforce that out shape. The outside I'm going to have smooth, I'm going to have this sort of pattern work coming into the middle. So I'm going to create here, going to create a sort of wavy, going to create a wavy line, but kind of getting it sort of roughly the same sort of distance apart. Create a secondary part just for that. Just like so. And then come off the edge here, I'm just going to create this repeating curve. Going to fit in the shape. I know a lot of bull horns can be sort of smooth, but I really like this kind of vibe. It's going to make it sort of feel very strong and very sort of design-wise, it's going to be more appeasing. Sorry, I'm going to be a bit tongue-tied with that. Design-wise, it's going to be a bit more appealing, is the word I'm looking for. So you see, we've got this really nice kind of structure to the face now, and I'm really happy with this. I'm going to draw two circles off the side here. I'm just going to have two little flowers just sitting here, just kind of filling the space, making a bit more detail. So one circle, another circle in the middle of it. I'm just going to divide this into 5. So I'm going to do like one line just coming up here. So one there, bit of an angle. Now you can sort of take your time and get this absolutely perfect if you want. I'm just kind of winging it like I normally do these kind of ones. And once you've got that, I'm going to do a little line just down the centre of each one of these to get an idea of where I'm going. And when I get to that centre, I'm then going to sort of curve down and come back to the other side of it. Get them roughly about even if you can. You know, if you can get them perfect, get them perfect. I can always use the symmetry tool. But I'm just going to sketch these in here. I feel like so, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to create one leaf just going in there. One's going to go there, one there, and one there. So basically sort of telling the shape of the this gap. So basically filling in this gap, like so. I really like that. I think that's got a really kind of nice flow to it. So now I'm just going to create the layer above it. I'm going to go black, and I'm going to select black. And I'm going to go under pen tools. I'm going to go calligraphy. I'm going to use Monoline. If you've seen me do my tutorials before, you know how much I love this pen. It just gives like a perfect even line, which I really love. And again, just click on this, click on Draw and Assist, and again, I just make draw both sides at the same time. If you're done on paper, obviously just ignore that. But here we go. So I'm going to go over everything we've just done now with a pen. And don't feel like you have to go the same speed as me. I'm going to whip this in pretty quick. It's only because I've sort of drawn these like quite a few times. You know, I don't expect you to go the same speed. Should come like a pre-warning for that, because I say it in pretty much every video, I think. But I can't stress it enough, it's really important, you know, it's just, as long as you're having fun and the end result is good, the speed really doesn't make any difference, you know, it's really not important. You know, unless you're a tattooist and you sort of like doing absolutely massive pieces and for some reason you're on some weird sort of time frame, which you really shouldn't be as a tattooist, you know, then there's really no need to rush. Now, unless you're on Tattoo Fix or something like that, we have the dead time limit. But let's face it, I think that program's finished now, so we're not going to be seeing much of that unless there's a revival. So just keep these coming in here. Not saying the show was bad or anything like that. You know, Tattoo Fixers, sorry, not Tattoo Fixers, Tattoo Ink Masters. Tattoo Fixers is a terrible program. That one I will happily admit. Do not like that program. And if you want to know why, it's just because there's a lot of better people than what they do, and yeah, not a fan of it. But Ink Masters was pretty good. Would have been fun to go on it. I never really thought about going on it. It would have been pretty cool. So just keep whipping in those lines. And as you do, it starts looking really cool. Now when you start getting a bold outline with this, it just looks really, really awesome. I'm going to make this ear just go a little bit further than what the horn is, just so you get this sort of separation kind of V-shape just here. I've done it to kind of feel like the horn's merging into it, so that little gap will just make that bit of difference. Just keep this flow going with it. Just keep getting these lines. These kind of patterns are really good sort of practice, you know, because as you're doing these, it just starts to build up kind of like muscle memory. And before you know, you're about to whip in these kind of shapes almost by instinct. You know, repetition is really, really good for learning. So almost got this done now. Just keep them going. So almost there with this outline. There we go. And last, I just got to get this shape in here. I think I'm going to put like an outline around it. Bit of a funny shape at the bottom there, so I want to get it nice and straight. Well, not purpose though, but I like how it's got that little dip just on that bit actually. I think I'll keep that. I'll call that a happy little accident. Little line just there. And I think that'll do it for the outline for me. I really like how it looks. So I'm just going to turn off my sketching layer, see what we've got now. So this is what we have at this stage. Now it's looking really cool. And once we get the shading in, now it's going to really bring this whole thing to life. So I'm going to start off with by clicking on this and clicking reference. I'm going to go layer underneath, just like so. And then what we're going to do is, again, just click drawing assist. I'm going to use the spray paint tool. It's my favourite one for colouring and with on here. You can use whichever one's your preference. I'm going to start off on the bottom and kind of work my way up. So Going to put this sort of shadow kind of around this mouth and just around that edge just there. Inside this nostril, I'm just going to have a little bit of black just coming from that top section. And when you use the selection tool up here, click on the selection, click automatic. Just make sure all your layers are kind of connected. Like see here, where this line isn't connected here, if I select this, it's going to select everything around it. As long as your lines are all connected nicely, it will select just inside it. And if you click and drag, just make sure this thing up here called selection threshold is in the high 90s. If it's not, you're going to get this really annoying white edge around the outside. If you do get that and it kind of bugs you, that's how you get rid of it. Just put it in the high 90s. So I'm going to get some black on this bit. These little bits here, I'm going to get some black from the side, just like so. And these parts of the face here, I'm going to have to use the little freehand tool to select certain areas. Or you can just kind of raise certain bits, it's up to you. But basically what I mean is, when I select it here, it's going to select the whole face because it's kind of got all the gaps in between. Which is good, but when you want to shade certain areas, you're going to end up overlapping like this, you see. And that's not what you want. So if we click on a selection, click freehand, and we can just draw the areas we want to go over. So I'm going to start off with this area just here. And make sure that on both sides. Just like so. And then kind of come in. I want to bring that black so it sort of touches that line, but then curves up and kind of fades out there. Gives this nice kind of hint of a dip in the face, which I like. I can use the automatic one for this because I want to do the side parts of this cheek just here. It's quite simple. I'm going to turn this down. I want to get a little bit of black just here. The top part of this nose. And a bit just here on the bottom part as well. Just leaving a little highlight around the edge, like so. I really like that, it's got a cool texture to it. So again, I'm going to go freehand. I'm just going to select the areas again I want to do. So I want to select this part here. Pretty much everywhere it kind of sits underneath is where I kind of want to shade. So when it's sort of tucked underneath, like here. This little area I'm selecting just here. This area here is kind of tucked underneath, and this is tucked under this corner. So what I want to do, just make that a bit bigger, get some black in there. I'm going to get some black in here. See, just like that. And I'm going to use that pretty much on most of the things. It's sort of like, you know, it's the general principle of what I'm roughly going to do. And there might be a few areas that make a certain exception, but there's going to be few exceptions really to that rule. You know, if you're not too sure where to shade, you know, it's always kind of a golden way of doing it. Just when it kind of sits underneath. So like here, I want to get this part underneath this eye. I might get a little bit around the eye as well, so I'm going to select this part. Just here. Same on this side. Obviously if you're doing it on paper, you ain't got to worry about this, you can easily just do it, it depends. It just saves overlapping when you're doing it digitally. So I've got that black in there, which I like. Okay, nice black sticking out of this centre part just there. So you don't need the selection tool for that. Automatic. I'm going to get a little bit around the outside that I know I want. I want a bit on the edge of these horns. Oh, sorry, on the edge of the ears. And pretty much around the top part of the head I want. Like that. And pretty much from here, you know, the rest of the bits are going to be around the edge part of here. I don't want to get too much dark going towards this centre bit. So what I'm going to do is oops, drew a little bit of line outside the line there. Just select these areas. You know, those big kind of sausage shapes we've done. These big puffy eyebrows. Then we get some black just going across the top of those. Just like so. Now sometimes it's nice having that kind of reverse sort of shading. You know, rather than being on the outside, but it's on the inside. You know, because you can achieve the effect both ways. You know, if you want it to sort of like feel like it's tucked in, you can also get it the other way around as well. If that makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. Basically what I mean, when these ones are kind of tucked underneath, you can put the shading there, but you can sometimes do it in reverse to get the effect that that kind of curves around. That's probably a better way of explaining it. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to explain certain things when you're drawing them. It's not always easy. So we've got that. So now I'm going to select these ones out here, inside the horn bits. I want quite a heavy black, come across there. Quite heavy black on that inside bit. And I like that, that's got a really nice vibe going on. I'm going to select these parts of the flowers, just the leaf edge bit. A little bit of black just on the inside of those. I'm probably going to leave the flowers quite bright. I don't want to go too dark with them, so I'm not going to put any black in the middle of them. You can do, I just don't want to on this particular one. Sometimes less is more. So I think that will do for the black shading. I think we've got enough black shading in there. So let's create another layer underneath. Again, just click Jordan Assist just to speed it up a little bit. I'm going to go on here, and I think I'm going to start off with, I'm going to select this almost kind of grey, just a little hint of redness to it to start with. You know, most of the face I'm going to do two tones. At the face I'm going to have this sort of like kind of greyish sort of tone, and then this sort of like rich kind of brown. You can do the whole thing in one sort of colour, but I like to have at least two colours in there to kind of break it up. So I'm just going to do a little section by section. So you see I've got this almost kind of grey tone. Just going to come up here. Just come up this little kind of nostril part. I think I might have this coming around here as well. And coming under there. So what I'm going to do this time around, I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to raise those outside edges where it overlaps. It's just another option you can do. You know, some people say it's faster one way than the other. To be honest, it just depends on your way you processes with it. So a bit of grey there just on the side part of the eye. I think I'm going to have it on this inside part just here. This can kind of curve into there, I think. A little bit just coming onto the ear. A little bit at the top of the head. Cool, I think that'll do it for the grey tone. Like I said, I don't want too much grey in there. Just kind of bring it up, and I'm going to use this sort of dark red tone. It's pretty much kind of brown, it's just a bit more kind of rich. I'm just going to create some separate layers just to make it easier. That way when I raise it, I'm not raising the grey as well. So see, it's just a much richer colour. Oops, before I forget. Just create a new layer, make sure it's got drawing assist on so you draw both sides at the same time. There we go, that's what we want. So I've got that around there. Getting that going up. I think I might have a little bit of purple under the eyes rather than brown tone, I think. I want this deep red quite strong coming up down this centre part of the face. Now I want that centre bit being very dark, so I want that kind of feel to it. Just around these eyebrow sections. And a little bit on this part of the head, but not the centre part. I'm thinking. Inside the ear, just come off that side. Gonna have it there. I might shrink this down, just have a little hint of it just inside that gap, just there. And lastly, just here and here. I think that'll do it for the brown. Sorry, no, a little bit underneath the mouth I just forgot to select. So now we've got that, I'm going to select here, and I'm just going to select this sort of kind of lilac-y purple tone. I'm just going to put a little hint of this just underneath the eye. It just throws in a random colour, which I quite like. I don't know, something about the purple on the eyes I quite like. You know, it's just a simple little thing, but it really does work pretty cool. So I'm going to select some areas now that I know I want reds. So I know I want red in the flowers, I want red in the nostrils, I want red in these bits, and I'm going to have reds in the centre part, I think, here. I might have red in this horn bit as well, but I'm going to do that separately because I'm going to do that with the pen tool. So I want my nice strong reds. So I'm going to get in that nostril just there. I'm going to get this red in this flower. Sort of circling that around and leaving that nice kind of highlight around the outside. Some red here. I'm going to leave little highlights around the bottom part of the eye, just there. Red in that centre. I'm going to have red in the ears as well. I'm going to select this separately and just erase a few little bits, just where it overlaps. So just get rid of that bit around the edge. I like that. And then yeah, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on the calligraphy tool, the Monoline. So I basically want to get this pattern like this. So I'm going to leave this little highlight just across the edge. Just like that. Just keep doing that with the same one for each of them. It's a real simple technique, but my God, is it effective. You can always add a little colour in that gap as well. I think it looks nice skin tone, so I often leave it just white. You know, negative skin space is really cool on a tattoo, so I like to often leave those bits. So that's that top part of the horn done now. I'm going to select these areas here. I'm going to put some little dots, I think, in this little space here as well. I'm going to do that in a sec. I'm going to select the areas now that I know I want yellow and kind of golden. So I want inside the flower, the eyes, those inside parts of the horn. So I'm going to come up now. I'm going to go back to the spray paint tool. Just makes it a bit easier. Just stirring this yellow all over those. And I'm going to select this kind of caramel tone. And just a hint on certain edges. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit around the outside edge of that eye. I'm going to turn off the draw and assist just for 2 seconds. Just while I quickly go on here, calligraphy. I want to put a little highlight just inside the eye. So I'm going to put one on that side, and then one on the other side. I turn the symmetry off because I want it to be like that, because you wouldn't have the highlight on either side of them, it just wouldn't look right. A little bit of on that inside part of the eye just there. Oh, I forgot to dab it yellow. Cool, we've got that bit. I'm just going to select these parts just around here. Just hook these up with this nice kind of army kind of green. So it stands out cool. Then we can flick off that drawing guide. And boom, there we have it, a really cool old school Taurus head. You know, you can play around with it, you can get a bit of sort of colour tone in the background. This background I often use, click up here, there we go. Insert file, albums, background. I'll put this on top and multiply it. If you're doing it on paper, you can always do this like coffee and or like tea stain. Just a really cool way of doing it. Turn it down, it kind of gives a bit of kind of vintage old school kind of paper effect. I literally just drew this myself using like the spray paint tools and a few other pens. You know, just did it darker on the outside with the browns and then just kind of fade inwards. And you get a really kind of nice kind of feel to it with like it's an old kind of paper sort of thing. But yeah, so you got all the details of the bull face in there. I hope you like it. I'm going to go for all the star signs, so this isn't going to be the only one. So keep an eye out, let me know which ones you like. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you drop a comment, it really helps these videos out and I really do appreciate it. But for now people, I'm the Broken Puppet and I'll see you next time. Peace.